You're at the grocery store. You're standing in front of the cereal aisle and you're quietly going, okay, not that one, too much sugar. Maybe this one? No, wait, did I already have oats at home? And then you realize someone is staring at you. We've all been there. That little moment of embarrassment when someone catches you talking to yourself, like you've just revealed something strange about yourself. But here's the thing. What if that moment wasn't weird at all? What if it was actually a sign of something really interesting happening inside your brain? Today, we are diving into the psychology of people who talk to themselves, and by the end of this video, you might actually start doing it on purpose. First, let's get one thing straight. Talking to yourself is not a sign that something is wrong with you. In fact, research suggests the majority of adults do it. Some studies put the number as high as 96%, so if you talk to yourself, you are in very good company. Now, psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called private speech, and it's the same thing that kids do out loud when they're playing or solving a problem. You've probably heard a little kid narrating their entire life. Now I'm putting the block here, now it falls, now I'm sad. Adults do the same thing. We just get quieter about it over time. But here's what's interesting. The brain activity behind it is not quiet at all. When you talk to yourself, your brain is firing in two different ways simultaneously. You're both the speaker and the listener. And that combination, it actually changes how you process information. So let's talk about what's actually going on when you narrate your morning routine or argue with yourself about whether to go to the gym. Psychologists call this inner speech, and it's deeply tied to a concept called self-regulation. Basically, it's how your brain manages itself. When you say something out loud or even just mouth the words, you activate something called the phonological loop. That's the part of your working memory that holds on to sound-based information. Saying something out loud makes it more real to your brain, more concrete, easier to act on. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're looking for your keys. Researchers actually studied this. People who said out loud, "Keys, keys, where are my keys?" found their keys significantly faster than people who just searched silently. Why? Because saying the word activates a different part of your brain. It makes you more focused, more intentional. So that person muttering to themselves in the supermarket, their brain is actually working smarter, not harder. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because not all self-talk is the same, and the type of self-talk you have says a lot about how you're wired. There are basically three types. The first type is the narrator. This is someone who describes what they're doing as they're doing it. Okay, I'm going to chop the onions first, then the garlic. It sounds simple, but this type of self-talk actually improves focus and reduces errors. Athletes and surgeons actually use this technique on purpose. The second type is the coach. These are people who hype themselves up or give themselves instructions under pressure. Come on, you've got this. Just breathe, one step at a time. Studies show that people who talk to themselves in the third person, like saying your own name, actually handle stress better. It creates a tiny bit of mental distance from the emotion. And then there's the third type, and most of us have been here, the critic, the inner voice that loops, the one that replays the embarrassing thing you said at a dinner party 4 years ago at 2 a.m. The critic isn't always bad. Sometimes it's your brain trying to solve a problem, but when it gets stuck on repeat, that's when it shifts from self-talk into something closer to rumination, and that's a different thing entirely. Here's the part that most people don't know, and honestly, I love this. Talking to yourself is strongly linked to higher verbal intelligence. People who have a rich inner dialogue tend to have stronger abstract thinking skills. They process experiences more deeply. They connect ideas in more interesting ways. This is why writers, artists, scientists, people who do a lot of creative and analytical work tend to be some of the most prolific self-talkers. Einstein was known for muttering through problems. Darwin reportedly talked to himself constantly on his daily walks. And it makes sense. When you externalize your thoughts, even partially, you give yourself the ability to observe them, to edit them, to have a relationship with your own thinking rather than just being swept along by it. There's even research showing that children who engage in more private speech develop stronger problem-solving abilities later on. We've basically been discouraging one of the most natural cognitive tools humans have. Now, to be fair, I want to be honest with you here too, because most self-talk is completely healthy, but there are times when it's worth paying attention to. If the internal voice is persistent, extremely negative, and you feel like it's not your own, like it's coming from somewhere outside of you, that's different. That can sometimes be associated with certain mental health conditions, and it's worth talking to someone about. But for the overwhelming majority of people, the kind of self-talk we've been discussing, the narrating, the coaching, even the occasional self-criticism, it's normal, it's human, it's your brain being a brain. The goal isn't to silence the voice. The goal is to understand it, to direct it, to use it as a tool instead of being used by it. So, the next time someone catches you talking to yourself at the grocery store or on a walk, or while working through a problem at your desk, don't be embarrassed. Be a little proud, because what they just witnessed is your brain doing one of the most uniquely human things it can do, reflecting on itself, coaching itself, making sense of the world through language. That's not strange. That's actually pretty remarkable. If you found this interesting, drop a comment below. Tell me, are you a narrator, a coach, or a critic? I genuinely want to know. And if you want to go deeper into how your mind works, how your thoughts shape your mood, your decisions, your habits, subscribe, because that's exactly the kind of stuff we talk about on this channel. I'll see you in the next one.